Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to share with you the very best retinol skincare products that are currently out there on the market for you to purchase, explain why they are the best options, and go a little bit into what retinol is and why it's good for your skin. So if you want the top picks for your retinol products out there, then this is the video for you. Thank you for subscribing to the channel and hitting that red subscribe button. You can also follow Allura Beauty on Instagram, and if you missed the latest video, please make sure you go check it out. I will link it in the upper right hand corner for you to see if you haven't seen it already. All right, let's get to talking about what your best retinol skincare product options are out on the market. Every product that I discuss in this video, I will link in the description box for you to purchase online if you are interested in doing so. I will also list any coupons if there happen to be any or discounts, and I will link Rakuten in the description box because if you're going to spend your money online, you may as well be getting cash back. So make sure you're part of Rakuten if you haven't been joining already. So retinol is a term that's commonly used now, but I want to give you just a really brief overview of what that is and what it isn't. So retinoids is the name for the family. Any sort of vitamin A derivative kind of ingredient is a retinoid. And retinoids have been shown to help generally with reducing the signs of aging, particularly photoaging. It can help reduce fine lines. It can even help combat acne. It can help the skin look a little more plump and rejuvenated. It can even help the visual appearance of the size of your pores. Now, there are prescription versions of retinoids and there are over-the-counter versions of retinoids. So if you've heard of tretinoin or Retin-A, those are prescriptions that you can get that will deliver to your skin the gold standard purest form of vitamin A, which is retinoic acid. Obviously, you're not here in this video for me to tell you that you should get a prescription, even though that is the most potent and well-studied, documented, scientifically proven form of the ingredient that will give you the results of things like reducing fine lines, combating acne, etc. But the reason I mention it is because it's important to understand that retinoic acid is the thing that occurs naturally in your skin, and that is the gold standard because retinol is not the same thing. And so the suggestions that I make in this video are not going to be the gold standard or include the gold standard ingredient. So retinoic acid, that is the gold standard ingredient. Now, what you find in over-the-counter skincare products that you get at your local drugstore are not that ingredient. Instead, what you'll find are three derivatives of that ingredient, the least potent form of which would be retinol palmitate. Once retinol palmitate is converted, it is then turned into retinol. Then once retinol is converted, it becomes retinaldehyde. Retinaldehyde, once converted, then becomes retinoic acid. So you can see there that it takes three conversions from retinol palmitate to get to retinoic acid, which is important to know because each conversion that your skin has to make, that ingredient becomes less potent or is less potent. And the studies are not as comprehensive in terms of whether you're going to get the results that you're looking for over the long run. We do know that it definitely takes a longer time for the less potent versions of vitamin A to get the results that you want. If they give you the results that you want, there's not as much study on how much they actually absorb, etc. Now, the benefit of having a version of vitamin A that's a derivative and not direct retinoic acid is that it is more easily adjusted to by the skin. When you do a course of something like Retin-A, your skin most oftentimes has a reaction. It gets dry, it gets flaky, it gets red, it's uncomfortable to use, and you eventually overcome those side effects, but it can be really unpleasant for most people to use that super potent direct form of vitamin A. But obviously the drawback with using their derivatives are that they don't have as much science behind them, and they're not going to be as potent or give you the results as quickly. So we started out with retinol palmitate, and once that's converted converted, it becomes retinol. So if you're gonna go and buy a skincare product that has retinol in it, then it has to make one conversion into retinaldehyde and then another conversion into retinoic acid to become the vitamin A that is going to be absorbed by your skin and give you the results that we're talking about. So for the most part, it's not probably worth your money or time to purchase a product with retinol palmitate in it, which I mentioned because a lot of the time a brand or company will label a skincare product as like a retinol serum or retinol moisturizer or something with retinol in it. But when you actually look at the ingredients, it doesn't contain retinol, it contains something else. And so if the only thing that's really in that product is retinol palmitate, then again, with some exceptions, with some rare exceptions, I don't think it's worth investing your money in that. Now, you might be thinking, okay, well, if my goal is retinoic acid and the one-step conversion before that is retinaldehyde, then why am I looking for a retinol product as opposed to a retinaldehyde product? And the reason for that is really simply because there are basically very few products on the market, at least in the US, that are accessible that have retinaldehyde in it. The only one that I've heard of is a product by Aven. So if you want to check that out, then I will list that in the description box, but just know I'm not recommending it because I personally have not used it, although it does look like the studies do support that the retinaldehyde in that Aven product is effective to give you the anti-aging benefits. But by far the most accessible over-the-counter ingredient is going to be retinol. So the 2 steps before you get to retinoic acid. So the last thing I'll say before I get to my suggestions are that retinol is extremely unstable, kind of like vitamin C. And if you haven't seen the video that I did recommending my top vitamin C skincare products, I'll link it in the upper right-hand corner for you. But all that is to say, because it is unstable, the packaging that you get really matters for retinol. So avoid any product that says it is a retinol-based skincare product, but that comes in a jar or comes in clear packaging if you yourself can't take the steps to make sure that it's not exposed to light. So short of getting a doctor to write you a prescription for Retin-A, i.e. tretinoin, the options over the counter for you nowadays actually includes something that used to be by prescription only, but is now over the counter. And that is adapalene with the brand name Differin. That's what you'll see on the shelves. Now, originally this was, I think, more targeted for use for acne, but there seems more recent studies that show that it can have the similar anti-aging benefits of Retin-A or tretinoin. It is a type of retinoic acid, doesn't have as much study behind it, but does have some promising studies. And the good thing about it is this version of retinoic acid seems to be much better handled. The side effects that you get aren't as extreme as with something like direct Retin-A. The side effects are not as harsh. So it's much more suitable for someone who has more sensitive skin, or if you're fairly young, like in your 20s, and you probably don't need to be having a prescription for Retin-A. All right, so aside from those, here are my top suggestions for retinol skincare products, with the caveat that the claims that these companies make in terms of their retinol are not regulated. So to a certain extent, you have to take my suggestions with some sort of grain of salt, because although many of these brands do their own research, or they make sure that the ingredients they include are stable, well-researched, well-packaged, etc., and combined with other supporting skincare ingredients, if you're going out on the market yourself and looking for a retinol product, just know that the products are not backed by peer-reviewed studies, by the same kind of science that exists for things like retinoic acid, Retin-A, even things like Differin or adapalene. I'm not going to do these in any particular order like I did with my vitamin C products, where I ranked the top 4 from my 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place to 1st. I think more I'm going to organize these by a mixture of price point and potency. So the first product that I would recommend, if you are not used to using any sort of retinoid at all, would be this one from Versed. So if you have virgin skin, so to speak, super sensitive skin, have never tried a retinol or any other kind of retinoid before, this product from Versed is the Press Restart Gentle Retinol Serum. It has bakuchiol in it also, and it says it's encapsulated retinol. This is 1 fluid ounce. If you want to see my review video for everything in the Versed skincare line, which is available through Target, I will link that in the upper right hand corner for you. Not everything in this line is good. In fact, there are just a handful of really, really good products in the line. The rest of them are so-so, or I definitely wouldn't recommend. So be careful when you're navigating through this brand. But this is definitely a product that I would recommend. For 1 fluid ounce, this retails for $21.99. Definitely not the most cheap product that I will be showing you, but it is certainly a lot more affordable than a lot of retinol products out in the market. This does contain retinol as I think like the 5th ingredient or so. You get opaque, airtight packaging with a pump dispenser, so it is kept stable, which is fantastic. This, in addition to the retinol, has a lot of nice soothing ingredients, and the formula itself is kind of like a lightweight, more gel type of texture. So it's not super moisturizing, but it does have several soothing ingredients, which will help combat any sort of potential side effects that you may have with the retinol. Although I've never personally experienced any negative interactions or side effects from the retinol. My next top suggestion is from the Inkey List, and this is their Retinol Face Serum, one of the most affordable options that I will give you for 1 fluid ounce. It retails for $9.99. Although it does not come in a pump dispenser, which would make the product much more expensive, it does come in opaque packaging, and it is a tube, so it's not a jar. You're not dipping your finger. You're not exposing the entire surface of the product to air when you take the cap off. You're squeezing it out of the tube. So very close to being airtight and in opaque, stable packaging. This also has an extremely lightweight, very thin texture. I know it says serum, but it's not heavy, greasy, thick at all. It glides well across the skin, doesn't leave any sort of finish to it, and sinks into the skin. I guess I should show you the one from Versed also, which comes in this slightly green tint, but again, just a completely lightweight formula that sinks into the skin. Lovely. But going back to the Inkey List product, it contains not only retinol, but also the ingredient HPR, which I don't know how to really pronounce. It's hydroxypinacolone retinoate, which is an ester of retinoic acid. And there are some promising studies that show that it could maybe bind directly to your skin's retinoid receptors instead of having to be converted the way retinoid has to be. So this product gives you both of those ingredients, which is great. The other thing about HPR is that it may be a way to deliver directly that retinoid to the skin without having the negative side effects that are associated with retinoic acid. In essence, it is a gentler form of getting that retinoid to your skin. Plus there's a bunch of other good skincare ingredients like vitamin C and E. So this is overall, for the price especially, a fantastic pick. Similarly, my next suggestion is going to come from The Ordinary. This is the Gran Active Retinoid 2% with squalane, or in squalane. This, for 1 fluid ounce, retails for $9.60. So a little cheaper than the Inkey List one. Now, The Ordinary also has their Gran Active Retinoid 2% solution, which is absolutely a great choice too. I prefer the one with the squalane in it, but either one is going to be great and give you pretty much similar benefits. So this product comes in a mostly opaque glass jar with a dropper dispenser. Now, the thing is that, is this technically an airtight package or packaging? No, it's not, because you have to take off the dropper each time. So while it's mostly protected from the light, I mean, light still gets through here because it's not completely opaque. So I would still keep this in like a dark area or in your cabinet away from light. But even more than that is every time you do open the jar, you are exposing the product to air. So try to minimize the amount of time that you have the dropper or the cap off. And so use it quickly, and don't let this product sit around. Once you open the jar and start using it, use it regularly and use it up, because the longer you leave it sitting around, the longer time it has to degrade. Now, because this is in squalane, the initial texture that you get is a little bit like a super runny and thin oil, but it sinks into the skin really nicely, and after you let it set for about a minute, it doesn't leave a super greasy or oily finish to the skin. And squalane is fantastic for really helping moisturize the skin as a source of fatty acids and acts as an antioxidant. So squalane in and of itself is a great product. Hopefully you can see already that that shine is pretty much disappeared. But when it comes to the retinoid, the ingredient that The Ordinary has used in this is very interesting, and in fact is the exact same one that you'll find in the Inkey List product, i.e. HPR. That is what The Ordinary is referring to as the gram-active retinoid. So again, it's an ester of the retinoic acid. It has studies that show that it may not need to be converted. It can bind directly to the vitamin A receptors, but without having the negative side effects of things like retin A. Now, while the one from the Inkey List includes HPR and the retinol, this one from the Inkey List only includes the HPR. But the one from The Ordinary also includes other great ingredients, especially things like tomato extract and jojoba oil, and then of course, as I've already mentioned, the squalane. So I feel like these are both excellent choices. You may want to purchase both of these and just use them in a little bit different ways. Maybe the retinol serum for the daytime as more of a lightweight moisturizer, and maybe the one from The Ordinary with the squalane and the jojoba oil if you want something a little more nourishing on the skin. My next suggestion is going to be from Paulas Choice, and that is Paulas Choice's 1% retinol treatment. Unfortunately, I don't have the bottle to show you because the last bottle that I used up of that particular product was probably several months ago, so I don't have it around anymore. I probably showed it in one of my recent empties videos, but in any case, I'll put a picture up here so you can see what it looks like. For 1 ounce, it is $58. So of course, a big jump in the price point, but on the other hand, you're getting 1% retinol, which is a much stronger dose than in the products that I've already showed you so far. So I think this is a great option if you've already used other products, especially from the drugstore, that have retinol in them, and you don't have any sort of side effects from them, and you want something that is more potent and is more likely to give you visible results. So of course, as all of Paulas Choice's products are, you have appropriate packaging. It's completely opaque. It is an airtight pump dispenser, and it's therefore stable and protected from air and light. And again, as with other Paulas Choice's products, this one not only has that high strength amount of retinol in it, but in addition has a bunch of other great skincare ingredients to help support the retinol in the product and to give other benefits to your skin. And the texture on that one is pretty nice too. I wouldn't quite call it a gel, but it is a fairly lightweight kind of lotiony texture. The other huge recommendation from Paulas Choice that I want to make is the Skin Soothing Retinol Body Treatment. This is one of the only body care products that I know of out on the market with appropriate packaging and good formulation that has retinol in it. It's extremely hard to find a product like this, and I've used up countless bottles of this from Paulas Choice. In fact, this is my latest bottle that I've completely used up, so I need to repurchase a bunch of them. But it has not only other antioxidants, but it has that retinol in it. It doesn't have 1%, but it certainly has an effective amount that will have skin benefits for your body. You get 4 fluid ounces, and this retails for $29. Pump dispenser, and the formula is nice and hydrating and moisturizing without feeling heavy. It doesn't have any sort of sticky or unpleasant finish. The next product that I'm going to recommend is by Drunk Elephant. This is the A Passione Retinol Cream. This is a deluxe sample size. I don't have the full size to show you, but the full size looks pretty much like this. It contains 1 fluid ounce and retails for $74. So even more expensive than Paulas Choice's 1% retinol product. And again, although this isn't an airtight pump dispenser package, it's a completely opaque tube with very minimal exposure to air and no exposure to light. The texture on this one is also very pleasant. It's like kind of a yellowish color, and spreads across the skin, sinks in very nicely. Like with the Paulas Choice one, this contains 1% retinol, so it's a good dose of that retinol. So once again, not something I would recommend to someone who has never used a retinol before, but if you have and you want stronger results, then this is absolutely a good option for you. And of course, in addition to the 1% retinol, this contains a bunch of other great skincare ingredients too. And my final recommendation is a product that I have never heard talked about or suggested on YouTube, something I always like to do to give you options that you haven't already heard of 1,000 times, which is probably the case with, for example, the Drunk Elephant one. But this is a product by Peter Thomas Roth. It is the Retinol Fusion PM Night Serum. Now, again, this is not super cheap. For 1 fluid ounce, it is $65. It comes in a fairly opaque glass bottle with a dropper applicator. So again, not completely airtight, but the interesting thing about this product is that it is in a non-aqueous solution. Instead, it is a silicone-based serum. It also contains great ingredients like vitamins C and E in addition to the retinol. It is fragrance-free, which is true of all the other products that I have shown you, which I should have mentioned. The other products, all of them are also alcohol-free, which is really important. The only negative about this product is that it does contain alcohol. It is the very last ingredient, though, in the ingredients list. So while it would be ideal without it in the formula or in the product, it does have a very small amount, and so you should know that. So in addition to this being in a non-aqueous base, it also contains a bunch of squalane. The third ingredient is retinol, and so the claimed amount in this, which seems to be supported by the amount of retinol or the place of the retinol in the ingredients list, is 1.5%. So it's even stronger, or a stronger concentration of retinol compared to the Paulas Choice option or the Drunk Elephant option. So if you are already used to the Drunk Elephant one or Paulas Choice one and you want even a step up from that, I would suggest trying this one from Peter Thomas Roth. Oh, I didn't show you what the texture is like. So like I said, dropper applicator. It feels, I know it says serum, but it feels like water, almost like water on the skin. It does have like a slight oiliness texture, once again, just like the one from The Ordinary, because it has squalane as the second ingredient, but similarly, it sinks into the skin. It doesn't leave like a heavy or super oily finish on the skin. All right, those are my very top recommendations for retinol-based skincare products that are out there on the market for you. Let me know what you think. If you have any other suggestions that you think are fantastic, especially at their given price point with studies that show the efficacy of the retinol in there, I would absolutely love to see them listed in the comment section below. If you like this video, if it was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. As always, I appreciate you taking the time to watch, and I'll see you in the next video.